and welcome to Impact, the programme where we take a look at topics and issues that impact us on a daily basis, but also how we can impact others with the gospel. And the title of today's programme is The Message Through Music. And before I introduce you to my guest for this evening, I'm just going to give you a little introduction to the topic, because music can be very influential. Music can be used to express feelings and emotions. Music can be used to communicate or convey an idea or a message. And joining me to talk about this topic is Christian music artist Thomas Martinez, also known as One Way. He will be giving us an insight into the influence and purpose of his music and the impact that music is in general having on modern society. So as I say, Thomas is joining me here in the studio. Hello, Thomas.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making the effort to actually physically be in the studio as well. It's great to have you.
I'm excited, really excited. I had like 3 coffees, but I'm still tired.
Oh, really? Oh, well, hopefully you'll make it through the programme.
No, we got this.
Amazing. I also just want to remind you as well, this is the second episode of Impact we have done with Thomas. So if you would like to find out more about his music in depth, then do make sure you watch our programme that we entitled One Dream, One Way. And you can do that by going onto our website, www.revelationtv.com/videos. Click on Impact and you'll be able to see it on there to get more of an insight and a foundation of what we're going to be talking about today. So we are going to be talking about music in general, because like I said in the introduction, music can be very influential, especially on young people today. But give us a bit of an insight into the kind of music you do, because you're a music artist, you've got your music out there. So give us a bit of an introduction into what you do.
I do everything, to be honest. I've started off with rap because it was cool, and yeah, I just really liked rap, and I didn't know I could sing. I'm not the best singer, so rap was just, hey, let's do it. And so I started off with my friends. They would call me they would say Eminem. They would call me Eminem because I knew all Eminem's songs, and so I started off like just rapping in my school their Eminem songs, and so they'd be like, wow, that's so cool. And yeah, throughout time, I started going to a music school in Mijas, a Christian music school. And through there, I started learning about drumming and actually playing properly. And I started integrating drums with, with funk music, bossa nova, jazz, blues, everything. And I started like opening the world to, wow, there's such cool music that isn't just rap. So throughout time, I started integrating that style into my music. And now I've ended at the point where I would say I'd make more commercial music. I'm making more commercial because, everyone can like it. But I try making it in a way that's got the touches of every little bit, bit of other songs. So I'll mix a bit of funk or a bit of blues or rap or, just everything. And I would say I make music that anyone can hear. I like to make music that from younger to older people can hear, and just, something not, more commercial, just something that anyone can hear and just feel like, hey, I can, like, this is fun, I can enjoy this and play it on the beach or play it in the car. So yeah, that's the style. I wouldn't say there's a style.
Okay. But that's good, because we'll go into more detail a bit further on into the programme of the messages that you convey throughout your music. So I think that's good to establish at the beginning that you're trying to make it for everybody, because it is important, the message that you have for everybody. But before we go into that, the fact that I have a music artist on Impact, I think you're the first guy or guest I've had that is actually does music. So it reminds me of the fact that when I was younger, about maybe 7 years ago, I did a local programme on my local radio station. I was a radio presenter, and I also did a web series called Mills Meets. So Mills is my surname, so that's why it's Mills Meets. And I used to always start the programme asking them kind of random questions to get to know them a little bit better. And I thought, if you're up for it, it might be quite fun to do that. Are you up for it? Okay. So let's go for some random questions to get to know Thomas a bit better. Okay, so the first one, describe yourself in 3 words.
Funny, I'd say. Energetic, and it's crazy, I guess.
Some great qualities, that's good. Okay, would you rather travel into the future or go back to fix a past mistake in your life?
Oh man, no, I think I'd like to travel the future, but there's things I don't want to know about. But I like to travel the future to see where to head off better, where to focus on, because there are things where, what should I look at right now? What should I start working on more? Should it be more music? Should it be more this? And so yeah, I would like to visit the future, I'd say, yeah.
Makes sense. Because also the second part, would you go back and fix a past mistake? I asked that kind of to a person here on Impact before. I kind of said, what advice would you give your younger self? And they kind of said that they wouldn't change anything because, like we kind of said on the programme before, what we've been through is what makes us, it's what we've become. So if you change something in your past, it's going to change who you are today. So I think that's an interesting point to look into the future.
It's scary to lose who I am today, so I don't want to lose who I am today. And I don't know who the person I'll become, so it's like not as scary to.
Yeah, it's true. Good point. Okay. Next question is, if you could have a superpower, what would it be and how would you use it?
I've always thought, I don't know, I always, you know, like throughout time, I always thought, hey, it'd be so cool to have like, you know, Flash, you know, where you can go so fast where you can stop time.
Yeah.
And I'd probably actually I'd go, you could do so much because you stop time and just like, I don't know, I'd probably try and win some races. It's always been something I want to do. So just try and stop time and win a race or something. I don't know why, that's just me.
That's good, no, fair enough. Why not? Are you into comics and kind of them kind of movies?
Not into comics. I normally say I don't like watching movies because I like living movies.
Okay.
So I tend to like, I don't know, I really like action movies, but not to watch them. I always say I learn from them. And so the quality, if I like a quality, for example, I used to love Indiana Jones, I'll try and take those qualities and say, how can I apply them to my life? So I watch different movies, but in a way, I'm a lot about self-improvement, always improving, and try not to waste time. I always like, you know, I do like calisthenics, which is like bar training and all that. I'll train, I'll make music. I can't sit down and just watch a movie. So I'd be more, I don't know, more like that, just
active.
Trying to,
Yeah, very good, good answer, nice. Okay, it says here, if you had to move to another country, what country would it be and why?
I don't know. I think maybe USA, I'd say, because, you know, I don't know, it's just, I feel like I understand that country because of all the movies I've watched and all the YouTubers and everything. England, I love England, but I just can't handle the cold. I just cannot handle it. So if I go into USA, it'd be Florida or something. Yeah. But I can't go to the cold.
Yeah. Have you ever been to America before?
I have been. I went to New York.
Nice.
I mean, it was real cool there.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. I think America is somewhere I would choose. I've never been, but I'd always love to go there. California with like the palm trees and the beaches and stuff.
But I heard that California is a lot like Costa del Sol.
My parents from one to another.
My parents went and said, what's the difference of this?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so
the food, the American accent.
Yeah, okay, that's different.
Bit different. Or New York at Christmas would be nice. That'd be cool. You see it in the movies.
Yeah,
that'd be really nice.
I feel like it's packed. I don't know.
True, it could be.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think life would be like in the movies, you know, when it's all pretty and romantic and calm. I think it'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it? All these people and like trying to get to places.
Yeah, I
in
feel
the cold.
like it.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. The last random question I have is, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what meal would that be?
You know what? I've got to think, because I'm logical in this. I would probably just go for, well, meal, I don't know if that means like food, I don't know. I'd just go for meat, just strip of meat and, you know, chips or something.
Any type of meat in particular?
You know, just, I don't know how you would call it in English, maybe you can try, it's an entraña. That's
Entrecote? Is that
yeah, it's kind of like that. There's another name. I just don't know the name. Because I always order it in Spain, so I don't know the name
in English. Fair enough.
But yeah, because I feel like you can, you know, it's just full on protein. I've heard of people who do the, what's it called, the carnivore diet, which is really good for your health. According to some people, other people disagree, but I would really like to do that. And I love meat. I can never get off meat. And chips. Chips are the best thing on earth.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sweet potato fries or normal chips?
Normal chips, like the typical McDonald's chips, those chips. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well,
I don't know why.
There you go. We're all different. Very good. So thank you for answering them. I feel like we've got an insight into know your personality a little bit better, so that's cool. So before we got into that, we were saying the fact that you do Christian music and you do have a very special message that you want to portray into your songs and inspire people. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I've always told people, you know, instead of seeing me as like a Christian singer who just makes music, Christian music because I'm forced to do it, like, oh, I'm a Christian singer, I have to make Christian music. I like to say, hey, look, just go back. I'm a normal person who just, like anyone, sings what's in their heart. And so when if Jesus is in my heart, I'm going to accidentally sing about Jesus. So when you see that, it's like, oh, it's more like, it's passion. There's more passion and not you're forced to sing Christian music because, you chose that way to go. So yeah, it's what's in my heart. I just sing what's in my heart, and you will notice that with my music. And yeah, so I just want to, pretty much it's just me expressing myself. People say I'm pretty bad at expressing my emotions or that, but I feel like because my way to do it is through music. And so I can express how I'm feeling through music. You will see if I'm angry or if I'm sad or if I'm really happy, which is a lot of the times, it just goes through music. And then with that, because like I said in the other one, that Jesus says, like what Jesus says, which is a new commandment I give you, which is to love others like I have loved you. Again, you can't fulfill that command if you don't feel loved, if you're not loved, if you don't receive the love He's given you. So when He gives you His love, you love others. And so with that, it's like accidentally in my heart, it is to love others and to help others out and to want the best for others. And for me, what I believe is the best for others is to know Jesus.
Amen. And I think it's so true what you say about expressing yourself through music. And I think a lot of people, even if they don't make music, when they listen to music, it really affects their emotions, doesn't it? And really affect their thoughts. Maybe if it's a love song, or if it's a happy song, or if it's sad, something, music isn't just a thing out there, is it? It's actually something is quite spiritual, that it actually connects with us on so many different levels. And when you're creating music, does that go through your mind? Do you think about how that music is going to affect people, or is it kind of more focused on, okay, Jesus, what is it that you're wanting me to put out?
Yeah, so I do think it's a lot of things in one go when you're doing music. It's actually a lot of, I would say pressure, but not in a way where I feel like, oh, if I do this wrong. It's more like, wow, I've got a big responsibility in music. And so I feel like, David, he used to play the harp and it would like just calm down and just, he used to touch people with music. And then the Bible says how music heals and all these things. And so I really believe music, it isn't magical. It isn't like this, but it's an amazing tool. It's medicine. But, I feel like, the devil's just attacking this world and just taking that medicine out and turning it into, how you can abuse medicine? Medicine is also drugs. So it's kind of like a drug, which is just getting people to listen to things which are it's loads of false things, The other day I was getting a haircut with my barber and he's a Christian and we were looking at music videos. We were like, what is going on? Yeah. They were like, people going to hell, things like, it's just crazy. And I'm like, what is going on? And so, honestly, it's just like, I feel, I just want to, I feel like, I can make a difference in people's life. And with the music, I can do that. I can influence people. I can, people can listen to music which is cool, which, sounds just as, catchy as the other ones. But they can listen to something that's going to edify them and who knows what else, because I don't know how far words and just music can go, but maybe God can heal someone with one word that could just heal them. If they hear you are loved, that just like changes their life. I don't know. So everything goes through my mind. Every possible thought you could have goes through my mind when I make a song.
It's a heavy process, isn't it, to make music like that? And I like the fact that even the world is seeing the fact that music, like God already knows how much it influences us, and we see David in the Bible, how much it influences and heals, but the world is kind of on that wavelength without knowing it's spiritual. So for example, the NHS website talks about losing yourself in music and movement releases endorphins in the brain, which is a great mood booster. There's also benefits of group singing, such as improved mental well-being and recovery, reduced stress and anxiety, the release of endorphins, the feel-good chemical, enhanced immune system, improved circulation and lung health, and feeling energized. So the fact that all these things, we are mind, body and spirit, and God has created us as physical beings, but spiritually we can really connect through music and heal and that kind of thing, but physically we're connecting as well. And I think that's important that the world is seeing that. But do you think it's important for the world to see the spiritual aspects of all this as well?
There was a preaching I heard about this where this pastor, he says, music is the only thing in the world that doesn't ask for your permission to enter your spirit. And it's like, whoa, what? Because anything else doesn't affect your emotions, can't change your emotions or your way of thinking, but music can. Yeah. You listen to a sad song and you'll notice you're sad. You listen to a happy song, you start being happier. So it's the only thing that doesn't ask for permission to enter your soul, your spirit. Doesn't ask, and so it just, when you listen to it, it just goes in. It's just in you and it changes you. Even if you're on the radio, you turn it on. Sad music, or you know, when you have this song that gives you a lot of nostalgia and it just brings you back to. So I really believe it's a really big thing. And people, there's studies saying that when rock and roll started and everything, that's the first time when music, well, when young people were separated and created rebellious behavior, starting in rock and roll era. And since then, there was the rock, there's rap, there's been now trap and everything. It's creating this like big division where kids and parents can't be together anymore. And there's a lot of studies like, why is that happening? And it's just because it's like the devil's just entered. And, you know, what's he want to do? Divide. And if he divides the younger from the older, he's just dividing the world. And so, you know, I want music, and that's why it's so cool, because I make these songs that are catchy, and I see my little brother singing it, and then I see my pastor who's singing it, and then just loads of people, all different ages, all singing it, and it just brings them together. People jump. When I do shows, I've had shows where it's not just youth. You've got youth there, but you've got older people, you've got kids there, and everyone's jumping. Everyone's a family. And just singing the same words and listening to the same style of music. Yeah. And so it's really cool.
That's nice. It brings people together as a unity, doesn't it? And you talk about catchy songs and you talk about singing them over and over, and it's so true that sometimes we don't realise the lyrics that are going into our minds. We don't realise, even if we just got the radio on in the background or whatever. And I'm reminded that my brother, when I was younger, was really into So Solid Crew. I don't know if you know of them. They're an English kind of rap group, probably in the early 2000s or whatever. And they had a song called 21 Seconds, and it was so catchy. And my brother used to listen to it all the time in his bedroom. And because my room was only next door, I obviously could hear it. So I used to sing along to it at the time as a kid, not really thinking much about it. And then it wasn't actually till I came to Spain and I was just singing it out loud. One of my friends went, "Do you realise what lyrics you're singing?" And I thought about it. I was like, and the lyrics are, "Worship the devil, red is my best colour." Oh. And I was like, and I just sang it like thinking nothing of it. And then when he pointed it out, I was like, oh my goodness, I've been singing that like pretty much my whole life, not having a clue the songs I'm singing. And that's the dangers, isn't it, of music, that words can just get stuck in your head, not even realise what you're saying, and you're singing it over yourself. What do you think the dangers of that is?
No, it's crazy. And I've noticed, I remember my dad was like going through TikTok, and because he never goes through it, he hasn't been conditioned to think like everyone else. And he goes, what music are they putting on in the background? You know, when you're watching these typical videos and you've got this, like I've checked out, and there's so many songs that is like things about Jesus, and one saying, I forgot how it goes, but it's like, I'll tell God to come down and see what it's like to be like a human like me. And it's all these famous songs, and I'm like, whoa, this is happening, and we're not noticing because we're so used to it. It's like slowly it's happened, and then until we've gotten to a point where, you know, it's sadly a lot of my friends, Christian friends and stuff, they will be listening to music that shouldn't be like that. And so, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's like people are just so lost into this. And I don't know, it's really sad because they've been conditioned to think it's okay to listen to it, you know? And it's not, and I don't want you to think, oh, God's angry with you if you listen to popular music, right? And the music is from the devil. It's not like that. God, you know, God wants you to know you're loved and to, you know the right values that change your life. Yeah. So why is he going to want you? If he doesn't want you to have bad friends who take you down the wrong hole, he doesn't want you to listen to bad music, but not because he's angry with you, because he loves you so much that he cannot let you go down that hole. And he just wants to remind you that he loves you. And I know it's hard, it's really hard because it's like, it's a drug. Music, the dopamine it creates in your head, and the new ones that they get shorter and better and more songs and catchier and all this, and you can't leave it. It's too hard to leave that. So it's
kind of
really
like a chase, isn't it? It's like any drug. When you get hooked on it, it becomes not as effective anymore, and therefore you chase it. You want more, and you want to get a bigger high. And I don't know if endorphins work the same, but obviously you get that good feeling, and you want that again. So you listen to the songs that give you that good feeling without realising sometimes the lyrics or what it is that is putting in you, and it's incredible how we don't realise what's being sung, and it's subliminally it's going in. And like you say, God wants us to listen to the right kind of music, because what we watch, what we listen to, what we consume is what we become. So if we're unaware of the lyrics that we're listening to, that's going in, and that is affecting our emotions and the way that we think and the way that we treat each other. And I think that the older I've got, I listen more to worship music now than anything. If I'm going to put YouTube on, I will put people on like Lauren Daigle, Phil Wickham. These are just some of the young people that are producing Christian music, some of which, like Lauren Daigle, you wouldn't necessarily know it was Christian. She does it in a way that secular people can listen to it as well. It's not so in your face, which I think is important, because then it can be on the flip side, the people that are listening to this music not realising it's Christian is actually having a good message being portrayed into their life. And is that something you try and do through your music?
It's actually, there's this song that me and my friend made called Flexin', and it's gotten up to like 12,000 streams and everything. It's amazing. But we've noticed most of our streams are from Germany, and we're like, who understands our music? Because it's like Spanglish. It's a Spanglish song. And I'm thinking, what? And we thought, could you imagine, they don't know what they're listening to. It's just a really catchy song, and then they don't know that they're listening to Christian music. It could be all over nightclubs and things. We were thinking that'd be so funny if we went to Germany one day and we just hear it flexing in a nightclub. If you're like, what? And we thought, well, so be it. Let's do that then. Let's make music that people don't know is Christian, but maybe, you know, they hear Jesus, what? And maybe that makes them question why, or just, you know, I heard a really big Christian song that we sing in our church. I heard it once in a nightclub. I was going past it because we came out, you know, to eat, and then I hear this song and I'm like, what? Everyone's singing, everyone's just jumping around, because it was like a Spanish song, and there's a lot of English nightlife, right? A lot of British go, and so I don't think they knew what was going on, what the song's about. But it's just like people listening, and it says I'm a soldier of Christ, and it's like, okay, these guys, but who knows?
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
right? You're blessing the place.
And I think, we should be a blessing in the surroundings. Maybe you are going clubbing, maybe you are going to these bars or whatever. Be that blessing, be the light, because I'm reminded that a few of us went out one night, and it was karaoke night, and it was a group of church friends that we all went out. So we actually got up and sang a song from Hillsong, one of the like young and free ones. So it was like a really upbeat one, and we were singing it at karaoke. No one probably knew what we were like talking about, and it wasn't a song that was in your face. It weren't like Jesus, 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 but it was like and a lot of younger people that produce music are producing music that could be heard in a nightclub, so that people can really relate to it and that it's modern and stuff. And I'm also reminded, me and my mum, she, bless her, she never thought she would do karaoke. She's really shy. She's like, oh no, I'm not going to get up there and do it. And I can't sing to save my life, but I love, it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? Get up there and sing or whatever. But I managed to convince her. We both sang, I've forgotten the name of the song now. It's by Westlife, You Raise Me Up. And that song means so much to her. And it wasn't necessarily written as a Christian song, but me and Mum was praising God while we were singing that, about You Raise Me Up and all that kind of thing. And she even had her arms in the air and everything, proper worshipping. And these drunk ladies behind, they had no clue what the song was, but they were all like, yeah, you raise me. So they were worshipping God without even realising they were doing it.
Did you see like Stormzy when he went to Glasgow and he did this big thing, and it's amazing because he has this Christian song. Yeah. It's called, what was it called? Oh man, I forgot the name. Well, it's a Christian song.
Is it Blinded by Your Grace?
Yeah, Blinded by Your Grace, that one. And man, it was like, he's not what you would say a Christian singer, because he puts a lot of other things in, but just, he went to Glasgow and he said, we're going to praise the Lord. And you just see everyone with their hands up, And so it's just amazing. It's like, wow, like, you can touch people with, just a message, And, you see people there, they were all, like, they were drugged there. But, hey, who knows what could have happened there. And God can use, it doesn't have to be a perfect person. And that's the thing. When you realise it doesn't have to be a perfect person. It can be anyone, You can be anyone, even the person who's struggling with an addiction. God can use you to change someone else's life, So, hey, just allow God to do that, and like, you can change the world, So.
And I mean, there are some commercial Christian artists out there, like Stormzy, like Justin Bieber, who will openly say, I'm Christian, but their music aren't necessarily written Christian-based. Do you think there needs to be more artists out there like them doing that on a high stage where they've got that high influence? I mean, I know there's some artists, well, like Jordan Sparks, and I think even Coldplay, I found out the other day, are Christians, but they're not so open about it within their music. Do you think there needs to be more good role models, Christian role models in the commercial world spreading the gospel of Jesus?
I really believe, like, it's harder than we judge them too much, you know. And at the same time, we sometimes say, oh, they're Christian. But like, and then, you know, we then allow them to do other things and say, but they're Christian. And it's like, no. But I think you know, a lot of us, what we've turned Christianity to is into a religion where if you're not speaking about God all the time, it's like you're not a real Christian. And it's like, I see, you've got builders. Builders don't always have to go around preaching Jesus. But maybe there's an opportunity where a builder can be able to preach it to some other people because of his work. And I feel like music is like that too. It's like, okay, I've listened to, and I like a lot of what Stormzy does, because he doesn't, you know, he says, you know, some things, but he doesn't swear as much. He's got a lot of positive music, and I feel like, yes, it could be better. He's like, you know, he's got some things, but I feel like, wow, someone like him, he's showing how cool it is to be Christian. Mm-hmm. And you know, hopefully, you know, when you realise that it's not just I'm worshipping God, you're also, apart from that, you're actually changing lives. I think if he realised that those songs are saving people's eternities, he would sing more about Jesus. It's just, you know, a lot of us, I think, we judge them like, oh, they need to sing Christian music, and it's not like that. You can sing a love song and still be Christian. You know, just the values in it. And so it would be, you definitely want more role models like that. That's what we used to have, like in these last 100 years. That's why America was so blessed. And that's why before that you had England, which was so blessed, because you know, everyone was Christian. Everyone, like, you know, even though they weren't all like outspoken Christians, we all had these values and we all just knew God and we feared him. And by fear, it's like respected him. And so I think, you know, we need these people, but it shouldn't be this religious thing of you need to speak Jesus. It's more like, hey, just know, when you know Jesus is love, a lot of times actions speak louder than words. And so I've got a pastor and she says, preach to people, and if you have to, speak to them. Because
nice,
it's a lot of how you live, so I think it's that.
Very good. You made a good point there about that Stormzy makes Christianity cool. Now, I think there's a lot of people that see Christianity as something really old, as something boring, as a set of rules, like an old man with no hair, with a dog collar as a vicar. Like, they see Christianity in a very way, there's a stereotype of Christianity. How can we make Christianity cool?
I think it is cool. It's religion that's not cool. Religion is all about, it just puts people off. It's just like, oh man, I've got to do this. And nowadays, you know, always younger people don't like to do things like the older generation. And they just will always want to create new. And I feel like religion just like, it's all about like putting tops on and just like, you can't go there because Jesus didn't say this. But when you realise, no, it's a relationship. You are Jesus' friend. Jesus is there and he wants to help you. And Jesus was a revolutionary. He changed the world. If it were like, you think that Jesus was extremely modern, so modern that you had the other Christians, Jews. You had the Jews back then telling him off, saying he's not a real Jew. You know, so when they start telling you you're not a real Christian, okay, listen, maybe you're not, but maybe maybe you're just speaking something new. Maybe you're bringing, I imagine the first Christian rappers had it harder than it is now, or the first Christian rock and roll singers, or, you know, people, I don't know, when it's a revolutionary Christianity because it brings love it doesn't adapt. I think like we can, I don't know how to say it, but we can preach love through the modern times, you know, modern things. God creates, you know, the devil doesn't create. The devil just distorts, but God creates. So, you know, if you see the biggest inventors and stuff, they were Christian. There was a lot of Christians. And so I feel like it's just cool. We just got to stop thinking of religious and stop thinking about what the ways, the rituals and stuff, and start thinking, hey, how can we preach love, and how can we, you know, Jesus, I don't know, he helps you and he gets you to amazing things.
Yeah. And I think it's about us being us, being a Christian. Some people think we're weirdos and like you have to be really wacky and really out there. No, it's about us living our life, but reflecting, like you say, our actions, how Jesus treats us, and reflecting that onto our friends and our family, or how we handle situations. So for example, when we go through trials and tribulations, as Christians, we know we can have peace and hope because Jesus is there with us. People who don't have Jesus in their lives, they're in despair, they're in worry, they don't know what's going to happen in this situation. And they might see us in a challenge, see us so calm and handling it, or seemingly handling it, and think, why are you so chill about this? And then you can explain, well, I've got the Holy Spirit and that kind of thing. So our actions indicate questions, which then opens up a conversation. So I think that's a good point. And Jesus, yes, he was so revolutionary. I mean, he had friends of tax collectors. Tax collectors were hated back then. Women were degraded and he dined with them. He just did so many things that were against the religious rules of the time. But like you say, God wants to use everything. And in the modern times back then was modern to them. Modern times now, God can use anything to really get his message across and to spread the gospel, which is incredible.
You see this, look how cool this place is the lights, you know. So I bet you there was people saying electricity, lights, they're wrong. Because we use torches in our church, you know, back then, and fires. And it's like, no, man, look at this. You're blessing people with cameras and TV and sound and all this, and you're being able to bless people. So it's the coolest thing ever, because apart from just, you know, apart from like, you know, you can dress cool and listen to cool, you know, have cool music. Apart from that, you're also preaching with it. So you're helping others. You tell me something that's cooler than helping others whilst, you know, it's, I don't know, it's just really, it's next level.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, we are going to bless you now with some of Thomas's music. This is a song, one of my favourites actually, called All I Need. Enjoy.
You picked me up a lot. I know I've been falling short, but how great it is to know I'm the one you fought it for. You've overcome, yeah. You've already won, yeah. You're changing my life one step at a time. In my weakness, you are my strength. When I'm speechless, you know what to say. You're all I need.
Ay, you're all I need. Oh, your love, yeah, got me down on my knees. Yeah, your grace, yeah, made me so free. I was blind, but you made me see. I got no religion. You are more than a picture. Your love fills my system. You gave me the keys to my prison. You picked me up, oh Lord. I know I've been falling short, but how great it is to know I'm the one you're fighting for. You overcome, yeah. You already won, yeah. You're changing my life one step at a time. In my weakness, you are my strength. When I'm speechless, you know what to say.
I see you in the sunrise, I see you in the night sky, I see you in every blessing one by one. But now you're my light, but now you're my guide. I need you close to me, 'cause you're all that I need, yeah. You're my one direction, only need your affection. Yeah, you're my portion, you're my satisfaction. Take you out and everything changes. Without you, no one can face what this life would be. Now you're next to me. In my weakness,
you are my strength. When I'm speechless, you know what to say.
That was One Way and Kaylin Reese with All I Need, playing here on Revelation TV. And like I say, that was a really catchy one. I really like that one. You were saying that one's doing really well.
It's growing better than any other song I've ever had. Wow. So that's really cool.
And you're also saying you did a music video. You made it, like, edited it yourself?
Yeah, I edited it, yeah. Because before starting music, I had a little YouTube channel when I was a kid, and so I learned to edit and really like it.
Yeah. That's what I think we were talking before as well, about the fact that God uses all these little things that happen in our life. Like just then you said this little YouTube channel when I was a kid, but that really helped you. That was your start of now what you're doing now, and combining your music with the creativity of making music videos as well. I think, God trains us, doesn't he, throughout our life to do these things. Yeah,
because one of the things was that I had no money to do with music, and so if I've been able to make, a lot of people can't make music because they can't, they don't have the money for the video, money for all this, the mixing, mastering. Also, I just said, if I can't pay, I'm going to just learn it, And so now I sell those services to others. It's really cool.
Nice, yeah. And that's really good. These days you can learn anything on YouTube, can't you? So you don't need money, you don't need someone pro at anything to teach you anything. You can just go online and learn whatever you need. Yeah. So if there's someone watching today and maybe they're aspiring to be doing what you're doing, or they're looking to get into music, but they don't really know where to start, what advice can you give them?
I would just say, if you don't know where to start, I'd just say, just go for it. Just go for it. And a lot of things, like if you really want to grow and do well, it depends what you want. If you want it as a hobby, just enjoy it, right? If you want to actually become someone who can, get to go to places, even make money or just streams and stuff, I would say go for it, and don't be scared of don't be too perfectionist. Be good, do the best you can, but don't push yourself as until the song is perfect, I'm not going to let it go. I would say let it go, and if it does well, the good thing is now you have a presence on social media and all that, and it's out so people can listen, and then you do better on the next song, and then you put that out, and then you'll do better, and you'll accidentally do better, and at the same time as you're doing better, you're also creating something, like presence and a fan base and all these people who can listen to you. So I'd just say, do the best you can, but don't be a perfectionist to the point where you don't let anything out. And then you will have a whole past of things where you can be proud of, and you also be better at new things. So things like that.
Good advice. And am I right in saying you were about 11 when you first started making music?
Yeah.
Is there any advice now, looking back, that you would tell your 11-year-old self, now all the stuff that you've learned? Is there anything you would say, or if there was anyone watching who was 11, what advice would you give your past self, if that makes sense?
Well, one thing I'll tell them how to do everything. Yeah. Sounds so bad. But no, I would also tell them to be consistent, tell me, hello me, and tell them to be consistent, right, in how you're making music, because you can't go around, if you really want to take it seriously, you don't want to go around just making a song and then forgetting about it, and making another song. And if you're bilingual like me, this problem of making loads of different languages, and if you like a lot of styles like me, also then creating too many styles where you just can't create a fan base because no one knows what you do. They don't know if you make English music, Spanish music, if you make, so all this. So I'll just say, for anyone, try being consistent. Make yourself, you've got the online personality. I like to say I'm Thomas, but then there's also One Way. They're not much different, but One Way has to be, the same type creation. Or if I want to go to new things, like I'm doing English music, I can't just be English, Spanish, 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 English, Spanish, English. It needs to be start going with my English song, and then start presenting more English and English and a bit more, and then I can go back to Spanish, and then with that I've opened to the door. And so I just say, be strategic, don't drop from emotion. Don't be like, oh, this is such a cool song, and drop it today, which is what I used to do. I'd say just be strategic. Think of, hey, how can you, do this song? How well could it do? How much do you want to promote it, and how long are you going to invest in promoting? Think of how many people it's going to get to, and just think of who you're trying to get to. Just strategic. It's a business. If you need to see it as a business, and when you do see it like that, you can strategically start growing properly. I think I would have done way, way, way better if I started like that from the start. But again, God has His time, and I've learned so much, and I think I wouldn't have had other doors open if I was already too high up, let's say, in other ways.
Yeah.
So I think it's all perfect.
True. And I want to encourage you as well, if God's given you that passion and that talent of music, then use it and don't feel rejected. There's going to be people who don't like your music. We're all different. We all have different tastes in music. I might like rap and someone else might like opera, which are completely different things. So people aren't going to necessarily always like it, but don't feel rejected. There will be some people out there that will like it. And especially if God's put it in your heart and God's helping you with it, then you will be successful in His timing and in His way. It might not mean you'll be selling out stadiums and traveling around the world, but you might be touching lives with the music that God is asking you to do and to give out. And I want to talk more about, we mentioned kind of trap, I think we said earlier, but kind of like the grime kind of area and the rap and all that kind of stuff. There is a lot of stuff out there that glorifies like gang culture and sleeping around and drugs and drinking and stuff. How detrimental do you think that is to our society today?
It's crazy because I was caught up in that. It was so cool, gangster rap and everything. And me, I've grown up in the south of Spain with a full family, you know, my two parents, a perfect, great lifestyle. I was like pretending I was this bad like gangster who, you know, with loads of chains and like just not being me. And I feel like music was such a big thing, you know, and it's not to blame singers and rappers who do that because they come from that world. And so it's understandable. If you come from that world, it's understandable. I know Christian rappers who make more, it's darker rap and all that, but they're speaking about Jesus and stuff. But that's because that's what they know. That's how they see Jesus as someone who helped them out in the gang life and more tougher world. For me, I've grown up in south of Spain, which is more commercial, you know, so I make more commercial music and stuff. So I do think you can't blame them for it, some people, but you should, you know, you just need to know who you are, you know, and just realise, you know, if you're not from that world, don't feel like, because it's not the rappers, but it's the people around or the people who listen to it pretend to be like that, and then they make you feel bad when you're not like that. And it's like, look, no one here's a gangster, right? You know, and it's all this fake thing about, you know, I don't know, it's all violence and stuff. So I don't know. A lot of it's about proving yourself, you know, trying to prove yourself. And it is a crazy world, a crazy thing that you can't really judge on any side, because people who listen to it, they've been force-fed it by the media, and people who make it, they've been forced living it, you know. So you just got to, I think, discern and ask God to, you know, well, help, because you normally don't see it when you're living it, but help other people, if it's your kids, if it's your friends who are going through this thing, just tell them like nicely, look, you're not gangster, actually enjoy your life, enjoy that you're not gangster, that you don't come from this whole hood life, and just enjoy that. Wow, you live in a better place, or you have this family, or you know this, or there's, if you do live in it, there's a way out, and that's Jesus.
Amen. And I think a lot of people, especially when they get into the industry, lose themselves. Like you said, just be yourself. It's people like, I don't know, like Taylor Swift and stuff. She started doing country music and she started doing her own kind of stuff. And then as you see, as she gets bigger, as she gets a label, as she gets producers, the music changes and it kind of conforms to what the big producers want them to talk about. And again, it's all very sexualized and all different. So I think, and often it's the fame can get in their way, the money can get in their way, the attention of all the people can get in their way, the fact that they lose themselves, they lose who they really were, and the authentic music they were trying to produce gets twisted and turned to try and just be successful in the eyes of the world.
Yeah, that's one thing. And I like to be truthful with what I say, and I get so much that you don't have to be a big singer. That happens mentally all the time. Your own mind is literally your enemy sometimes. And that's why a lot of times what I always try doing, is I will always try and point to Jesus, because if I ever do end up failing or do something wrong, I want you to remember this wasn't me who got myself here or did all this. It's Jesus who did it for me. And so I just always want to point to Jesus. But yeah, it's this thing. That's why you can't look at them, because people, like you said earlier, people change their opinions and things happen. And when you've got, this is a weird thing, we can't stay faithful. That's why God can, you know, and that's why I like, you know, point to Jesus, because only God can be faithful. I may be a great singer or whatever, but, you know, if you want the blessings, don't listen to my music or listen to it, but just know it's Jesus through it, not me, you know, not One Way, not Thomas, not Tommy, whatever you want to call me. It's not me. And so, yeah, I think to not get carried away, you just need, one thing I really love, and I talk with my pastor a lot, is that I have people who are not above, but they're above their authority over me, and I allow them. I tell my pastors, hey, look, I will listen to you, and if I don't, just tell me and stuff. And so they always try and keep me grounded, because if you grow too quick, you're going to just go to this big, I'm better than everyone, or this and that, and you get lost. You get lost too easily. So if you grounded, and you have pastors who want you to grow, but they love you, and they tell you, hey, look, you may be failing here, or maybe you need to check this out. It's great, because I remember when I did a show in Valencia, the day after, I went all the way back to my place, and what we do a lot for an outreach, we make volleyball courts and play volleyball with the town. And so that's the day after. The day before I was one way, but the day after I was digging up, and it's like that, keeping you humble. When you do that, you stay grounded and know where earth is and where you can carry on walking. And so I think that's a good way to keep you sane. So when people grow and don't have anyone above them who helps them, who's just guiding them, you get lost.
I think that's really mature of you, the fact that you ask someone to keep you accountable, that you've got that responsibility in your life so you don't just go flying off on one. Yeah,
I don't know if you would call it maturity, because I think I've grown up in that world since I was young, in a Christian household and, you know, with Christian background. So I don't know if you would say it's maturity. Maybe I was mature, but I think it's thanks to that whole, you know, the world I've been, you know, thanks to me having people who, healthy relationships and a healthy background in a church. But, you know, if you feel like you don't have that, and you haven't had, you know, the honor or the, you know, the blessing that I've had to be able to come from a church like that when you were young, you know, it's, you know, just, I feel like, I don't know, you can just go to one, you know, go to a church and just surround yourself with people who are blessed and you know, and can, you know, point to Jesus, say, I live like this because Jesus has changed me. And you get that in the church. So if you do that, you will start seeing how you know, you can live. And I think maturity comes from wisdom, and wisdom comes from the fear of the Lord, from asking God. When you ask God for wisdom, he gives it to you.
Definitely. Liberally, as the Bible says. And I think it's so true about who you surround yourself with. They can have such an influence on the way you think, the way you act, the way you speak, and what kind of music that you listen to. Maybe you're in a group of friends who are always listening to trap or grime or whatever, and it's the music that you're listening to isn't edifying you. It's actually putting thoughts in your head that as a Christian you know shouldn't be there. And it's okay to distance yourself from that. It's okay to say to them, friends, look, I'm not really into this music. It kind of goes against my morals and what I believe in. And okay, they might laugh at you for that, but actually that shows such strength in your faith that you are willing to kind of sacrifice that music and sacrifice them friendships for your friendship with Jesus, and he will really bless you and honor you for that. And that can be difficult. So if that's something you're feeling convicted about today, then just pray about it and just ask God to give you that strength to kind of cut off them kind of things that are going into your mind that you know shouldn't, because that's how temptation comes into our lives, isn't it? We might not even be thinking about any of these thoughts, and then we hear some music, and then our thoughts are filled with these temptations, and then that's just a battle in your life that you really don't need.
Yeah, I think it's like, tell me your 5 friends and I'll tell you who you'll become. I think it's an old saying, or even the Bible says you'll become who you like surround with, or what you allow in your heart. And so I don't think it's only friends, it's also what you're watching. They're kind of your friends, what you're listening to, and all these things, they will turn you into someone, you know, they just have an impact on you. So I think it's just, you know, if you want to change, and if you want a better life, and you feel like, wow, I'm depressed, wow, I'm full of, like, I keep falling in this thing, whatever it is, you know, just change first what you're listening to, what you're watching, who you're surrounding yourself with. And I really, really, really believe that will help you out. Like, that just blesses you, because that's being wise. And I really do believe that a lot of the problems most of the problems are just who we're surrounding ourselves with. But it's harder to distance ourselves from those things, because it's on Netflix, it's on music, it's YouTube, it's Instagram, it's everything. And it's it's around all the time. So I think if you can make that discipline to just try one thing at a time, just look, I'm going to leave Netflix, or not just leave Netflix, but I'm going to try and watch things that aren't. There's like these movies that just come up which are like just they're just full of blood, full of like, you know, just things, and I'm like, that's just sickly, right? And I think you feel that sickly because you're not used to it, right? So just try, and if you're too used to it, where it's like it's normal, this horrifying movie, it's because maybe you've gotten too used to it, and if you've gotten too used to it, it's in your mind. It's like you've allowed your mind to feel like that, and so.
And the devil wants control of our minds. He knows that as Christians we have the power and authority in the name of Jesus, and he knows that we are temples of the Holy Spirit. And the devil is actually scared of Christians when they stand on their faith, because the devil knows his destiny. The devil knows that Jesus has got the victory and that he's going to be thrown into hell. So he wants to take as many people as possible with him. And the way that he does that is through mainstream stuff. It's through films, it's through music. And actually on my notes here I've got that before the devil became the devil, before he was Satan, he was actually an angel, and his name was Lucifer, and he actually was kind of like the head of music in heaven. So he's got a big stronghold of music. He influenced it in heaven, and he's influencing it now, but he's doing it in the way to degrade the world, to condemn the world, and to bring people down to his level, because he knows that he's going to get chucked into hell and he doesn't want to be there alone. So he's like trying to take as many people with him. So do you think the devil has a massive influence over the kind of music that's coming out these days?
I really do believe that. You can tell, and it's like if you're going to negate that the devil is actually behind this, you're not seeing it, because you can see it in the music videos, in the lyrics. You can tell it's just the devil in everywhere there. And I think, how do we fight this? How do we fight this mainstream music? I think don't make church a group like for just a certain amount of people. Let's make Christianity mainstream. Let's sing mainstream songs but with Christian words. Let's just speak Jesus as people speak about all these other things that we don't, anything. As people speak about their passions, we speak about Jesus. Why should it be weird? It used to be okay. It used to be okay like 50, 60 years ago. It was a normal thing to speak about God. Why have we lost that? And so let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to a normal, like, mainstream thing. And let's not allow the devil is just like, he's not anywhere close to God, how strong God is, how amazing God is, how big God is. And so I think if we can learn how to just be more courageous, and courageous is not judging others, it's just saying, you can just say, bless you, just things like that. People say, I haven't heard that word, bless, it's like a lot of it is like lucky, I wish you luck, I wish you well. Why stop wishing and just bless you, When you say things like that, it's little things, but you're bringing it to mainstream Christian things, So I really think it's that.
Definitely. And there's a spiritual battle going on, isn't there? You talk about the battle between music, but the Bible talks about the battle is not between flesh and blood, but of principles and principalities that are happening. So there is a spiritual battle going on, and that's why the devil is after us. But I don't want anyone to be scared when we say that, because like I say, we know that we've got Jesus on our side. So we just need to be praying for peace in that, and just to be strong in not listening to these things that we shouldn't be listening to, and instead listen to the kind of music that Thomas produces. And if you want to do that, then you can go onto his website, which is www.onewaymusic.es. There's also an email address there, so if you want to get in contact with Thomas, if you want to ask him to come to perform at an event, or you want to know more about his music, then you can contact him with the email address on the screen. And then of course, as social media, you've got YouTube, you've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and TikTok is all the official One Way, so you can keep up to date with his music and what's coming out when. And social media has changed massively the way that music is produced and distributed, isn't it? I mean, back in the day, you'd need a production label or you'd need to know people, but these days you can kind of put anything out on social media, and it kind of, have you had good feedback from doing things like that? It's quicker than ever now and easier than ever. A lot of times I've had people say, should I really post about like Jesus on social media, because they feel like maybe they may say the wrong thing. I always say, look, I believe there's enough people saying wrong things. There's enough people with their opinion nowadays, too many opinions. So you lose nothing just
preaching a bit of Jesus on it, you know, and so I just try preaching Jesus in different ways. There's been other friends of mine. This is just, you know, normal people. You don't have to be a singer who has how many followers. You can just be someone with 100 followers, your friends and whatever. But my friends did this. He put just a post, a Christian post on his Instagram, a story, you know, 24-hour story. Put it up. One person saw it, said, "Oh, what's this? Christian, whatever." A few months later, that person's in church.
Wow.
It's just a bit of Instagram again, it may seem bad. It's an addiction, and the devil's trying to use it for loads of bad things. But let's use it for good things, because now, easier than ever, we can preach. Before you had to go out to the street and embarrass yourself physically, and that's really hard. So if you're not good at that, why don't you can literally make videos without your face, just good audio and a good video, and just preach through that. You can do it in any way, so it's really cool. I think social media is a blessing that if it's used wrong, it can be abused in power, but that's like anything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, social media is definitely a creative way to evangelise. Well, we have come towards the end of this programme, but Thomas, I just want to say thank you for being here in the studio and being with us on Impact.
No, thank you. It's been an honour. I've really enjoyed.
Oh, bless you, bless you. And thank you so much for tuning in today and watching. I hope you've been really inspired, that maybe you have a passion for music and you have a heart for music. And if that passion is from God, then God will really help you in that. So I hope you've had some advice and inspiration from today. And just a reminder that sometimes music can be very influential in our lives. So just be careful what it is you're listening to. Be careful what it is you're watching. Be careful what you're speaking with your friends and who you surround yourself with. And just ask God to cleanse out anything out of your life. Take out anything that's not of Him and not what He wants you to be focusing on. Well, thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and I hope you have a great week. And I'll see you next time here on Impact.